Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We're talking about the week of November 20th, 2023 this time around. It's a moon week, so when the moon interferes, we thought, let's just track the moon across the sky this week. So that in and of itself is an interesting kind of fun project to undertake once in a while, just to get a sense of how much the moon changes from night to night, both its position and how full it is. So that's the first thing we can talk about observing. Let's just go out and observe the moon this week. That's what we got. But we got a lot of bright planets, and the moon passes near interesting things all week long. The question we have, and we will ask as we get there, as we get later in the week and the moon gets fuller, will we be able to see those things? Just how much does the moon wash the sky out? I don't actually have a good answer to that. Most people don't try to observe near a full moon. You look at the sky. So you got this moonlight up here. The moonlight scatters off particulates of water, of all kinds of stuff in the atmosphere. And so we see the sky, right? You go out in the daytime and you see the sky, and the sky is blue and it's beautiful. That's what we have right now as I'm recording this. We've got a beautiful blue sky. That's sunlight that was on its way past the Earth, but it hit the atmosphere, it hit the air, and some of that sunlight scattered back down and we could see it. And so we see a nice bright sky from scattered sunlight. Now the moon isn't as bright as the sun, but there's plenty of moonlight on a full moon to scatter off the atmosphere and for us to be able to see the sky. And so that washes the sky out. It makes it hard to see. The closer you are to the moon, the more serious that effect is, and the harder it is to see things. And so people typically, astronomers who are trying to make serious data measurements don't observe anywhere near a full moon, timing-wise or space-wise. And so it's really hard to find good measurements of just how bright the sky is as you get close to a full moon, because people just don't look, right? It's really hard to see things. So we can try that this week and see what we see when we look near the full moon. But let's start at the beginning of the week. The moon is only about 55% full. So what I've drawn on the board here, what I'm talking about is, for me, as just shortly after dark this week. So the first hour or two after dark, maybe 5:30 to, let's say 6 to 8 or something like that, we're talking about in the evening as it gets dark for me here in the middle of the United States. So on this evening of the 20th, the moon is about 55% full. We're looking almost due south as it gets dark. So you're looking almost straight south. We see this just over half full moon, and it's 5 3/4 degrees. Remember, your fist at arm's length is about 10 degrees. And so it's a half a fist width from Saturn. So Saturn's this nice yellowish orb glowing right there. This is a great chance to observe the moon and Saturn there together in the sky on the 20th. You have a telescope, why not go out and use this opportunity to skip for the moon? The moon half full is a great time to look for craters on the moon. So follow the terminator line, the dark line that separates night from day on the moon, the dark from the light on the moon, and just scan up and down and look at shadows on the craters, just like here on Earth. When you're near sunrise or sunset, you get long shadows on the moon. And so you see features on the moon from their shadows, and it makes it interesting observing. So this 55% full moon is a great moon to observe with your telescope. And it's also then a great time just to hop over and look at the rings of Saturn and enjoy Saturn and see if you can find Titan, its moon there. So this is great. Start the week that way. The next night, on the 21st, the moon's now already 2/3 full, so it's starting to get big and bright on us fast, right? And it's about 5.5 degrees to the southwest of Neptune. So if you want a chance to look at Neptune, do the same thing the next night. Take your telescope out, follow the terminator line, follow the sunrise-sunset line, enjoy some craters on the moon, then see if you can hop about half a fist width to the northeast and see if you can find Neptune out there as a sort of bluish-green disk. It looks a little bit bigger than a star. It doesn't twinkle like a star, and it should be brighter than a lot of the things that are around it right there. So see if you can give that a go. One night later on the 22nd, the moon is now 3/4 full and is starting to really wash stuff out. Starting to really get hard to see things. But Dipta is this star we like in Cetus. It's one of the southernmost stars. We always say Fomalhaut is the southernmost star that from my location I can see with clarity. Dipta is a second magnitude star, so it will hold up to this 3/4 full moon, but it's about 18 degrees south of the moon in the constellation Cetus. So if you haven't had a chance to see Dipta and identify it, this is a great chance to do so. Just go to the moon, drop about 2 fist widths to the south, and there's Dipta shining nicely. Next night, 23rd, shortly after sunset, the moon is in Pisces, and it's 85% full or so, roughly speaking. And so we're going to do a big, bright moon, really hard to see things. But it's sitting within about 2 degrees or 2.5 degrees of Epsilon Piscium. Epsilon Piscium is not a particularly bright star, 4.3 magnitude. Without the moon there, you'd have no trouble seeing it. My question for you, if you're sitting 2 degrees, 2.5 degrees away from an 85% full moon with binoculars, can you see Epsilon Piscium? So it's a nice close pairing of the moon and this star, but it's going to wash that star out a lot. It's going to be an interesting challenge. I say give it a try. One night later on the 24th, the moon has moved across. Now the moon's 90 to 95% full, so close that we might start to think of it as essentially a full moon, effectively, for the way it's washing stuff out, right? And it sits just over 5 degrees to the west of Jupiter. So Jupiter, as it gets dark each night now, Jupiter's glowing beautifully in the east. So Jupiter's up nice in the sky. It's our biggest, brightest object in the east, glowing there. And the moon will join it on the 24th. It'll still be in the region on the 25th. I think it's 10 degrees. So it goes from about 5 degrees on this side of Jupiter to about 10 degrees on the other side of Jupiter on the 25th. So enjoy on the 24th and the 25th. Enjoy the nearly full moon paired with Jupiter. But on the 25th, the moon is also now, it's greater than 95% full, and it's within about 4 degrees of Uranus here. And so see if you can find Uranus. Again, this gets to be hard. Uranus is a faint object. You get your telescope, you scan across there, you're just awash in moon glow. My guess is not going to work. That's my guess. But like I said, I haven't tried it, and I don't know of a lot of people who have tried to observe so close to a full moon. So I might be willing to give it a try this week to go out and see what I can see. One night later, on the 26th, the moon is for all intents and purposes full. So on the 26th in the evening, as it gets dark, now it might wait. We're looking way east now as it gets dark. Waiting until 8 or 9 o'clock at night for me is going to be better. It's going to be a little bit higher in the sky. The moon is really more or less right on top of the Pleiades. Pleiades is this nice, beautiful open star cluster in Taurus. And so it'll be interesting to see. Can you see? A lot of bright stars right there. Easy to see with your naked eye without the moon there. My guess is you're not going to see any of it with your naked eye with a full moon sitting right on top of it. Can you see those stars with the binoculars? Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to try. I'm going to give it a shot if it's clear here and see if I can see these stars in the Pleiades, and maybe I can report that out. If you can't see that, bright orange Aldebaran is down this direction. So that's the eye of the ball down in here. So go ahead and enjoy Aldebaran below the moon and still to the east of the moon. I didn't mark it on here and note how far it was, but it's inside 10 degrees. So it's 5 to 10 degrees down this direction to Aldebaran. And so you can enjoy the bright orange star right there. That's bright enough to shine through the moonlight. So that one you can see. I don't know about the Pleiades. Let's give it a shot. So there we go. The moon fills out. It brightens up the sky. Just appreciate that. Notice from night to night how much the moon moves. Notice how much it fills out. And then notice how much the sky gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And it gets harder and harder and harder to see stars. And only the brightest stars by the end of the week are appearing to your naked eye, or the stars that are farthest away. As the moon, the full moon, is rising right at sunset, if you're looking off to the west at the stars that are just setting, you'll be able to see slightly fainter stars as you're further away from the moon. Or if you're up in the morning, the full moon is setting, and you're looking to the east where Virgo and Leo are rising into the sky, you can see those stars better, fainter stars with the full moon setting in the west. So give these things a try. Enjoy the moon this week. That's what you got is the moon. But it has a lot of interesting pairings with interesting things. We've got good planets to observe right now. We talked about getting your telescope out and looking at the craters when the moon was half full to 2/3 full, and seeing if you could find Neptune and enjoying a view of Saturn. Why don't you do that with Jupiter too? Even with the moon this full, that close to Jupiter, you might as well enjoy a view of Jupiter if you got your telescope. Get it out, take a look at Jupiter, see if you can find the bands on the surface, and see which of the Galilean moons are visible to you that night or the next night. Okay, this is going to be, should be a good week. I hope you have clear skies. As always, thanks for watching, everybody.